slide. Alright, hopefully it's recording this. Okay, so the U.S. Army as a whole, I'm going to skip the mission of Apple. I don't care what Apple's mission is. Okay, so our objectives for today: recognize Army mission, Army chain of command, command structure, infantry basic organization of the U.S. Army, and then recognize types of Army units. So here's our overall mission. This comes from Secretary of Defense. Then you have the Chief of the Army Staff, and here's what they decided that our mission is: deploy, fight, and win our nation's war by providing ready, prompt, and sustained land dominance by Army forces across the full spectrum of conflict as part of the joint force. The Army mission is vital to the nation because we are the service capable of defeating enemy ground forces and indefinitely seizing and controlling those things an adversary prizes most: its land, its resources, and its population. What is that? Why is that different than what the Navy provides? Why is that different than what the Air Force provides or the Marines provide? What do you think?
The Navy projects power on sea. They don't have the ability to. They have the Marines, but Marines are more shock forces. The Navy doesn't have the ability to project long-term ground deployments. Neither does the Air Force.
Okay.
And I was just the land force, I guess.
Okay, so it's reasonable to know that the Air Force, they can blow crap up, but if there's no one there to hold the ground, then the enemy that didn't die will just come back, right? So that is the role of the Army, is when something's gone, we go and we occupy, and we're able to maintain control, because it's easy to destroy, but if you don't control the territory, then you don't control it. You have no control. All right. Chain of command, here you go: Commander-in-Chief, that's President, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Army, Army Chief of Staff, Theater Commander, Field Army Commander, a Corps Commander, a Division Commander, a Brigade Commander, a Battalion Commander, to a company level, to a platoon leader, to a squad leader, to a team leader. If you notice the green asterisks, those are civilians, okay? So the first military person is the Army Chief of Staff. Why is the Joint Chief of Staff not on there? Any thoughts? You think, right, that the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they should be in the chain of command.
Well, aren't the Joint Chiefs more of a strategic, advisory board?
They're advisors, right? We do not answer to them. They are not in our chain of command. They advise directly the president. Okay, now, of course, given that they're going to have a relationship with Secretary of Defense and Secretary of Army, but they do not dictate our missions. They are advisors to the command. That is why Joint Chiefs of Staff are not on this list. They're not.
Do we have currently theater commanders?
Yes. Okay. There are North Command. Okay, that's Canada, Mexico, and the United States. Northern Command. There's Southern Command, South America. There is EUCOM, European Command. There's AFRICOM. Okay, they're responsible for Africa. There's CENTCOM, and there's INDOPACOM. Okay, those are theaters of command. You're going to have additional things. You're going to have additional things that are global. For instance, Cyber Command. Right? They're not dictated by land. They do the entire world, but they are. They would be a different type of command. Right? So theaters are going to be defined by your geographic borders. Your Field Army Commander. So the mission is going to dictate what you need. If you are going to put down an insurgency where the enemy force is 1,000 people, you don't need a whole theater going in. You don't need a field army. You probably don't even need a corps. You maybe need a division. Okay? So this is going to be, we look at stars. Okay? They're going to have a 4-star is going to be your theater commander. Field Armor Corps Commander is going to be 3 stars. This is 2 stars. Brigade Commander is going to be a colonel. Okay. Usually you will not see a 1-star general in a command of this position. They would likely get some sort of joint task force, right? A tailor-made mission set where they're going to say, I need these forces across the joint environment, Air Force, Marines, Navy. Army, and they may be 1-star, but again, it depends on the mission. Okay. So here's our ranks. Okay, Field Army, 2 to 5 corps. A division, or a corps is 2 to 5 divisions. A division is 3 brigades. A brigade is 3 or more battalions. So we generally try to standardize things off of 3s, but it can be plus or minus. Okay, and those are the ranks associated with them. The way that I was taught this, when you talk about general ranks and what's a 1-star, it's called Be My Little General. Okay, so it's a brigadier general. That's your 1-star. It'll be somewhere here. So that's the B. M is a major general. Be My Little is lieutenant. That's 3-star. And then general is just general. 4-star is just general. They don't need an additional title. We've had a number of 5-star generals, mainly in World War II, World War I. They come and go, but it requires an entire World War. I believe George Washington is a 6-star general. Okay. And then here is an example of a brigade combat team. This was important. I'm not saying it's not important now, but for the last 20 years, 15 years, we used to fight in a formation called a brigade combat team. Okay, we are moving away from that, and we're going to something called large-scale combat operations. You're going to hear it called LSCO. Okay, Army, those are acronyms. That is moving away from brigades and doing a division fight. So we're making our formations larger. Okay. Let's see if we can zoom in. No, that's wrong. Zoom. There we go. Okay, so this is a standard. This is an armored brigade combat team. We'll get more into that on a later date. There'd be an infantry, and then there'd be strikers. Okay, they have different mission sets, and they have different equipment. Okay, your armored brigade combat team is going to be consisting of your M1 Abrams, like your standard tank that you're all probably familiar with. Strikers would be armored personnel carriers or Bradleys, and then your infantry is your infantry brigade combat team, where if you have vehicles, they're likely going to be Humvees, where you're just very maneuverable, but you don't have a lot of tonnage or heavy weight behind you. You don't have as much firepower. So this is just an example. When you look at, you have a cavalry squadron. They're primarily responsible for scouting. So they go out and they find the troops. I think one of you guys asked what would be a movement to contact. Is that one of you guys this morning?
The other day, TRT, we were asking about.
Yeah. Oh, that was yesterday.
That was one of the MS2s.
Okay. So who would do that? That'd probably be your cavalry. Okay. They can move fast. They're light. They're looking for people. They're looking for the enemy. They report to come back. Fires battalion, that's gonna be your artillery mostly. Your engineers, right? There's 2 types of engineers, call them horizontal and vertical. Horizontal builds your roads. They would build tank ditches. Okay, so let's say I want to put a tank in a specific spot. They're going to dig something out so the tank will be down 5 feet. So the only thing exposed is the turret. The best way to help you envision this is, let's say a tank is 10 feet tall. They're going to have a ditch that's 9 feet deep. So the only thing exposed is like 1 foot, right? Just your head. The guy actually standing in the turret so he can see something, and it's going to be a ramp out. Okay, they're ready to fire, so they're going to back out. They're going to fire their shot, and they're going to go back down. Okay, maybe like if you ever played that whack-a-mole game. Okay, now as you get more elaborate in that, you would make trench systems for tanks so they can move left and right on the battlefield. Okay, that's generally going to be your tank position. That's what an engineer would do. Okay, your vertical engineers, they're going to build your actual buildings. Okay, so just so you know, if you're interested in engineering track, that's primarily what you're going to do.
So horizontal engineers are like fixed fortifications, anti-tank ditches, or offensive, just
road. They build roads.
Yeah.
Okay. if you're building horizontally, right, versus vertically, right? Pretty. If you do want to do engineers, obviously they'll get more into that. Brigade support. So this is going to be, you got medical right here, field maintenance. So when the Humvees break or the tanks break, they're going to repair them. Distribution, that's going to be getting ammo to front line, getting food to front line, ammo, food, fuel, water. That's going to be pretty much what their job is. This was a standard brigade combat team. It was an organic mission force that could do anything you move around. So now we're going to divisions, which are bigger. So they're going to have 3 of these, and that's going to move some things around, and they're going to drag them up to the division level.
What's the reason behind that?
So to be honest, we are switching from fighting an insurgency, or we used to call it COIN, counterinsurgency, which was terrorist based. Okay, we were FOB based, which is forward operating base. Just think of a small, very small base. Some of them could just be an outpost. And now that we're done with Afghanistan and Iraq, we're focusing on the next fight, which they're predicting was a Russia or a China. Okay, and China's going to fight with millions of people, not with little terror cells of 50, 15, 10 people, right? So you have to move away from the smaller brigade to an actual division. Okay, we're expecting large scale combat operations. That's what we're getting back to. All right. Okay. You're likely, as your first assignment, is going to be going to a battalion. All right. As a second lieutenant, you're just going to go training when you're a first lieutenant. Something's going to go wrong if they drag you up to a brigade. Okay. You're going to go to a battalion. This is what you're going to look like. All right. So you're going to have 3 companies on a standard. The company commander is going to be a captain. All right. This is the rank of captain, 2 bars. Then you have an XO. This is the person that runs the company behind the scenes. They make sure everything's right. That's going to be your first lieutenant. So that is normally a nominative position. So when you show up, you'll likely, if they have a spot for you and they like you, they're going to make you a platoon leader. If they don't like you, for whatever reason, they're not impressed with you, they're going to put you somewhere else around here. You're going to start as a platoon leader. You're going to handle 1 platoon. You're going to do that for probably 1 or 2 years. Then you're going to be moved up to the XO position, the executive officer. And then eventually you'll be a company commander. You'll do that for 1 to 2 years. And then that will probably end your time with troop leadership. Just letting you know. And then as you see here, I am here, right? So my roles would be either an executive officer or an operations officer. And then you have your command sergeant major. Command sergeant major, he left. I know he's the E7. They garner a lot of respect. They're the highest advisor to this guy. But because we all would work together at our headquarters, you're going to see this guy walking around and he's going to talk to everyone. If he doesn't talk to everyone, then he's bad at his job. Okay. They don't have direct command of anything. They're not a first sergeant. So their job is, again, they're advisors. You're going to say, we're going to our field training exercise in October. And you might say, we want to do these 50 things. And he's going to be like, hey, sir, maybe you shouldn't do 50 things. It's too many things for 2 days. That would be his role. Just giving advice. This is your first sergeant rank. Lot of stripes, right? 3 stripes, 3 rockers. Mess sergeant lemon, or sorry, sergeant first class lemon is here. Okay, so when you get to first sergeant, you get an extra rocker. Okay, so rocker on the bottom. So they got 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. Master Sergeant Penn, you've seen him. He is the same rank as this guy, but he is not in the position. Okay, first sergeant is a position, so it could be fielded by an E7. If there's no E7, it could be an E6, right? That is the position, right? The rank is an E8. So Master Sergeant Penn could tomorrow be reassigned to this position. He wouldn't get promotion, he would get more money. He's just now the first sergeant position. Looks like on this, is a field support company. So here's your headquarters, right? It's HQ. This is technically where these 4 people belong in the headquarters company. Okay, their job is almost entirely administrative. All right. So again, when you first show up to your unit, you're probably going here. Alpha Company, B Company, Charlie Company. Those would be your maneuver units, whatever your formation is. And then again, your field support company, their job is primarily going to be things like how are we getting food, how are we getting ammo, where's our maintenance platoon at, where's our supply at. Those guys will be normally there. And if you don't have a field support company, they're going to be in the headquarters somewhere. Next slide. Here's your normal company. Okay, so you will start here, and this is going to be you, or you, or you. Not to disillusion you, but this is the guy that runs the platoon. Okay, it's not you, it's him, the platoon sergeant. The reason for that is even though you guys have a college education and you did ROTC, you really only have 3 months of experience. Okay, when you guys are doing PT in the morning, everyone does PT, right? That's not really a military only thing, right? You could just be a normal civilian and work out, right? So you guys are getting 1 hour a week for 4 years, right? It's not a lot of time. What is that? 52 hours, something like that. That's like 2 weeks, right? 40-hour work week, you're getting 52 hours. Then you're going to do when they go to the summer camp, that's like a month, right? So you guys, when you show up to your unit, actually you're going to go to Bullock first. But yeah, you're going to have like 2 months and you're going to get your most training. That could be something like 4 to 6 months. But this guy has 10 years of experience and you guys have less than 1, right? So who's really in charge, right? Just know that. So when you show up, you hope that you have a good working relationship with this guy. If he wants to go left and you guys want to go right, that's going to be conflict and you'll have to work it out. I will tell you, I have never had a personal issue with it, but you see other lieutenants that do. And when these guys fight, these people look and think of it like mom and dad, okay? Mom and dad fight. Who wins in the household, mom or dad?
Mom.
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 Mom, okay? So this is mom, okay? Just letting you know. You might have the rank, but what they say happens. Then you're going to get back to the squad leader. Squad leader is going to control these 2 teams. Okay, this is your staff sergeant. And then going across the board, you're going to have a sergeant E5. He's a team leader. He controls these 4 people, himself and these other 3. You're going to have a specialist. This could be a corporal as well. The only difference is one is a non-commissioned officer and the other is not. Okay, they make the same amount of money. No one really knows the difference. It's more of an infantry thing, okay? You're probably not going to see corporals in a non-infantry unit or non-combat arms unit, all right? But this guy's a specialist E4. This guy's also going to be an E4. And then here's your base person, just the rifleman standard. He's a private first class, okay? You're not going to see a private. You're not going to see a PD2 unless they did something wrong, okay? You pick up private first class in 9 months. You're in basic for 3 months. You're in AIT for another 3 months. Depending on you could have a longer one. But anyone hitting your force should be a private first class. And if they're not, you know they've probably been demoted, and they were demoted by that guy, the company commander, okay? As you get more senior, you're going to have a relationship with your commander. Hopefully it's good. You're going to have a relationship with your first sergeant. Hopefully it's good. And you're going to be the guy saying, hey, the reason I want to demote this guy is whatever, okay? And if they don't like you or respect you, then maybe they won't follow up on what you're saying, okay? So a lot of this is personal dynamics, just letting you know. Here's your platoon. Okay, so same thing while I addressed it. Now you're going to get 4 squads, okay? You're going to get 4 of them. This is going to be standard. So how many people is that?
32.
Okay.
Roughly.
So the squad is 9, right? 4, and a leader, that's 9. 9, 9, 9. Got it? So it's 36. plus this guy's 37, and this guy's 38. You're 38. You probably will never have a full platoon. You'll have people on the books, but this guy decided he's getting out of the Army, and this guy got out of the Army, and this guy got promoted to a different unit. So it's very rare that you're going to have a whole complement of 36. They may be on the books, but they're transitioning out. Someone's sick, something like that. So just so you know, it's rare that you'll have a full 36. More likely, you'll have something like 25 to 30. Right? Here's your fire team and squad. Okay. I kind of don't like. They start at the top. I would have rather had they flip this and build that. But anyways, so we already talked about it. Sergeant, grenade or grenadier, M249 is your automatic gunner. Okay, that's the automatic weapon, and then your M4, your standard rifleman.
Is M203 a grenade launcher?
Yes. Okay, so the M203 you'll have your M4. It mounts to the bottom. Okay, you put in a we'll call it a shell grenade round. I think it's a round. You fire it, you open it up, you put in the next one, you close it, and you fire it again. If you're good, you can probably do one shot every 2 seconds. But these things, they don't weigh like 20 pounds each or something, but you also can't carry a ton of them. They're pretty bulky. I don't know if we'll have these at the shooting range, but you should shoot them when you are a 3 in your cadet summer camp. All right. Where are we at? Brigade combat teams is where they're stationed. All over the place. So there's Alaska, top left. State of Washington, Fort Lewis. This is North Korea. This is South Korea. This is Camp Humphreys. They used to have units all around South Korea, and they've consolidated everyone into Camp Humphreys over the last couple of years. All right, so if you get Korea, you're going here. Korea's fine. I've been a couple times. It's fine. It kind of sucks that you have North Korea, a looming wannabe nuclear power that is always wanting to, kick rocks at you. But there's only about 20,000, something like that. It's not a lot. Okay, they have a large footprint, but it's mostly what we call a ghost army. They're on paper, so we know where they would fit in a fight, but there's no one there right now. Because the South Koreans have 500,000 people. Okay, they have conscription in South Korea. If you want to be a voting citizen, you must do a 2-year or 3-year service tour, and so that's what they are. Okay, they're the front line. Our forces would be our what we call skin in the game. So if North Korea does attack, we have something there, but that's going to force America to defend. All right. There's Hawaii, Schofield Barracks. Hawaii's fun for a short amount of time if you've ever been. It's fine, it's nice. Fort Bliss, this here is Texas. It's kind of around the border of New Mexico. It is on the border of Mexico itself. So again, this is New Mexico right here. I believe this is cavalry. Fort Cavazos used to be Fort Hood. This is where 3rd Corps is. That's their division headquarters. This is cavalry. Tons and tons of armor here. This is a big base. I mean, not necessarily population-wise, but it takes like 45 minutes to drive from the south side to the north side, and there's no other traffic. It is vast. Okay. Fort Riley, Kansas. Fort Carson, Colorado, and Fort Knox. So this is where HRC is. This is where you guys will do your cadet summer if you do it. Fort Drum, New York. I've heard nothing but bad things. So if you get it, sorry. I don't know a single person liked it. 18th Airborne Corps, 82nd Airborne Division. They're at Fort Bragg, which became Fort Liberty for like 2 years, and now it's Fort Bragg. This is the most populated base in all of the world. Okay, something like when they bring in the civilians every day, something like 300,000 people. If you want to be special forces, they're not technically on Fort Bragg, but they're 20 minutes away. So Camp McCall. If you want to do airborne, you'll go here, and they drop you from planes every week. Fort Stewart, Georgia, and then I believe, I mean, there's a lot of other forts, but these are where the brigade combat teams are. Here's Germany, Grafenwehr. Germany's really nice. If they say you want to go to Germany, I'd say yes, it's very nice. And then here's Italy, you go to Vincenza. Other brigades, other combat brigades. So just, again, I think the point of this is to know that you could be in a whole lot of places. The reason we're not in California is because the Marine Corps is right here. You don't need an additional military base. There's four Durham.
How many active divisions are there?
Divisions
Army, that is.
was 11. I believe it's 11. Because we stood up, we had 3 corps, and now we have 4. But I still think it's 11 divisions.
Are we moving towards greater mobilization of divisions?
In what way? Deploying them?
Not necessarily deploying them, but making more divisions active.
No.
Since they're
So we're not growing the force. It's a reorganization. Okay, so you're going to keep the same amount of people. You'll just move some stuff from the brigade combat team up into the division. Okay, so it's the same people, but now they just report over here. So a lot of support brigades, engineer, chemical, ordnance, military police, MI, signal, cyber, sustainment, transportation, medical. That makes up about 65% of the force. Okay, 30% of the force is combat arms, 70% supports those combat arms. Okay, so infantry, artillery, armor, aviation. Right? Those are the people in combat. Okay, can't even go to combat. Types of units: 7th Cav, Old Ironsides, 10th Mountain, 82nd Airborne, 101st. These are kind of legacy regiments. And look all these guys up. Okay. 950. And so let's see what the practical exercise is. We'll try to run through this really quick. Yeah, I know you guys are supposed to. Practical exercise. Okay, so there's only 4 of you. So it wants us to divide into 3 groups. Review the mission statement below. Let's pull this up so you can see it. Okay, here you go. Evaluate which echelon of command. Okay, so an echelon, like I said, team, squad, platoon, company. Okay, those are your echelons, all the way up to your corps. And read the statement below in terms of following. Evaluate which echelon of command your group's individual mission statement belongs to. So we'll just go through this as a group because we won't bore you. Deploy, install, operate, and maintain a tactical theater communications package able to connect worldwide support while supporting divisional joint force and combined operational units. What level do you think that is?
Brigade.
Oh my. Got it. All right, great. Okay. Deploy attached brigades into the theater of operations, establish secure area of operation, initiate stability ops, secure ports of entry for follow-on forces while supporting U.S. Central Command missions. Okay, so deploy attached brigades in the theater of operations. What do you guys think?
division.
Anyone else? It's a division. Okay. All right, we got one more. Deploy from FOB Boston. Okay, that's Forward Operating Base Boston. and establish 3 platoon-sized combat outposts to conduct security operations and limit combat operations as required to maintain observation posts over watching Route Blue. Route Blue is just, again, it's a route. It could be a road, it could be a paved road, it could just be an improvised road, and they just named it Blue. Okay. So what do you guys think? You're going to deploy from a FOB and establish 3 platoons.
Company.
It's a company. All right, you guys agree. Okay, so that would be today's lesson. Here's closing. So we talked about the mission, just straight up. You can memorize it, but really just understand what it says, right? We are ground force. We control and occupy the land, and that is the Army's mission. No other. The Marines can do it to a point, but this is our mission, right? It's the Army's mission. Chain of command. You saw that starts with the president, goes down to your company commander, your command structure. At the base level, you start as team, squad, platoon, company, battalion, brigade, division, corps, theater army. Basics of the organization, or basic organizations of the Army, basically the same thing. Recognized types of U.S. Army units. So again, those are going to be branches. Chemical units going to be different than engineering units. Okay, there's a quiz attached to this. What I'll do, we can start with that next week, and I'll do something called Kahoot, and we can start with that next week. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Probably a lot of time.